Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. On today's tutorial, I'll be showing you the step-by-step on how I made this wrap skates you are seeing on the screen. This blue one is the inspiration and this is the outcome of what I made. In case you don't want your own slit to be high like mine, I'll be showing you how to go about it. Just make sure you watch to the end and don't skip any part so that you won't miss out on any important details. If this is your first time seeing my video, you're welcome. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell for more videos. Okay, I have these 2 years of stretchy crepe that I'll be using for this tutorial. The fabric only stretches on one direction. The original creator of this dress used lycra crepe to make her own. So if you are buying your dress, make sure the fabric stretches on both sides. So I have my basic skirt pattern that I'll be using to show you how to make this wrap skirt. So when you're drafting your skirt, you add your 1 inch for folding allowance and you remove 1 inch on the center front and you slant it. I remove 1 inch. If you're an advanced designer, you should know that. The 1 inch I came down on the center front will help to remove the excess folding on the front. So when I was placing my round body measurement, I did not add any sewing allowance because my fabric is stretchy. So when you are working with a stretchy fabric, do not add sewing allowance. So the length of my skirt is 25 inches plus 1 inch I added for folding, making it 26. When I was drafting my skirt pattern, I put my paper on fold, can you see? And I duplicated the front pattern and this one is also on fold. So what I will do is that I will transfer my hip length and my knee length on this pattern. To do that, you place it together and you just follow the markings and mark it there. I will use my ruler now to make a straight line. This is my hip and my knee line. So this is my back part. I cut my back part on a single fold. There's no need of putting it on fold. Cutting a skirt pattern is not hard, so you just go ahead and cut your skirt pattern the way you normally cut your skirt pattern. I just want to show you how you can alter it to achieve the wrap dress on my thumbnail. I'll be slashing the center back open. That's why I have this hip contouring at the back. If you don't want to slash the center back open, there's no need of putting hip contouring. You can as well cut it on a fold. So before I alter the pattern, I'll first of all remove the 1 inch on the center front. I will do the same thing on the both front pattern. After that, I will now set one aside and I will work with this one first. I will go ahead and unfold the pattern. After unfolding it, I will determine where I will be tying my belt. So I will write left and right. I want my own belt to go to the right side, so I will write it to indicate. After that, I will make my hip line visible. So I will just make it visible so that you understand what I'm doing. So to determine where you want your curve to start, I will measure from my waistline to 13 inches. You can measure 13 to 14 inches depending on how open you want it to be, or you can measure from your hip line 4 inches. I came down from my hip line to 4 inches. So that's where I want the curve to start. You can make it 5 to 6 inches. Please note that if you are coming down by 5 to 6 inches, you extend your skirt length. So after coming down by 4 inches, I will mark a straight line to indicate it. To curve the line, you determine your middle point. As you can see, my middle line is showing. This is my middle. So this middle will guide me on how to get the curve accurately. The next thing is to determine where I want my slit opening to start. So I will come up from my knee line to 3 inches. So if you want your slit opening to start on your knee line, there's no need of coming up by 3 inches. So I mark the 3 inches on the center line. So the next thing I will do now is to curve it. So on the hemline, I will come out by 1 inch from the middle. Please, if you don't want your slit to be open like mine, you can curve it on the middle. If you get to the 3 inches you came up on the knee line, you just follow the middle line and curve it straight. Or you can as well come in instead of coming out the way I did. So you follow what I'm doing, you get it right. Can you see how I'm marking it? On the middle line, I came out by 1 inch. This is how it looks like when I was done. This is the 1 inch I came out with. You can come in with 1 inch if you don't want it to be open like mine. You understand? Please make sure that your curve will terminate on the 3 inches you came up from your knee line. Can you see? So I want to check what I have left on this corner. I will measure what I have. I have 2 inches. So if you are making your own wrap skirt, you follow my guideline, you will get it right. Okay, so I will go ahead now and cut it out. If this is your first time seeing my video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you find my video interesting. All right, so after cutting it out, I will bring the other duplicated one. I want to get the wrap, so I will set the first one aside and work on this one. So the first thing I'll be doing now is to measure down 4 inches, the same thing I did on the first one. So from my hip line, I came down by 4 inches. I'll mark it this way. So on my knee line, I will also come up by 3 inches, the same way I did when I was drafting the first one. So on the middle point, I came up by 3 inches. The same thing I did on this first one, came up by 3 inches. Please note that this 3 inches is not standard. So the next thing is to determine how much I want the wrap to cover. So for me, I'll be coming in by 2 inches. If you want your wrap to cover your slit very well, please take 1 inch. Don't go beyond 1 inch. So I will keep my ruler on that 2 inches. To the 3 inches I came up on the knee line. So I will slant it. Did you see how I kept my ruler? I will slant it to the hemline the way you see me doing from the knee line. Can you see? So from the 3 inches I came up on the knee line, I slanted it to the hemline. Can you see the 3 inches? I zoom it so that you see it very well. So on the middle line, I will be trimming it off. If you leave it that way, when you are attaching it on your waistline, it won't relax very well. So you cut off this excess on this part. This part will not be needed. So I will cut it off now for you to understand what I'm trying to say. It's straight now, it's no longer curved. Please, if you have any question, do drop your question on the comment box. All right, so I will place it together now for you to see what I have. Can you see it coming out already? Can you see the 3 inches I came up on the knee line? This is what you're supposed to have when you are done cutting it. Can you see that the waistline is matching with the wrap? Had it been I did not trim the wrap, it will not lap well on the waistline. So before I transfer it to my fabric, I'll be coming down by ½ inch on the waistline of the wrap so that it can enable me to attach my waistband on the main front. So I will trim it out to the middle the way you see me doing. So just cut it out. After cutting it out, this is how it will look like, so that when I'm fixing my band, it won't obstruct it. Can you see? So I will go ahead now and transfer it to my fabric. Please, when you are transferring to your fabric, make sure you cut out the back part first. So I will determine the most stretchy part. So after determining the part that stretches more, you fold it into 2. After folding it into 2, I will place my back part on it. Use your pin to hold it down. After holding it down, I'll go ahead and cut it out. After cutting it out, I will notch the center back to indicate. So when you want to cut the first part of the front, you will not put your fabric on fold. Just determine where it stretches more. Can you see? So I will now place the first center front this way. So after placing your pattern on your fabric, use your pin to hold it round before cutting it out. So I will go ahead and cut it off camera and come back and show you. So this is what I have when I was done cutting it out. I added only sewing allowance on this part. There's no need of adding on the waistline. Please note that I did not add side seam sewing allowance because my fabric is stretchy. So I will set it aside now so that I can cut the wrap. You also cut it on the part that stretches more. I will add folding allowance only on this part. I will also cut it off camera and come back and show you. This is what I have when I was done cutting it out. Can you see the folding allowance I added? So this is what I have for all the cut out pieces, both for the front and back. I'll be joining the center back with half inch, so you make sure you use your pin to pin it down because the fabric is stretchy. Pin it down before sewing. After pinning it down, I'll go to my sewing machine and sew with half inch. So because I don't want any stitches to show on the front part, I will be cutting out what I will use as the facing. So from this cuff part, I will measure 3 inches round. This 3 inches, I will cut it out and I will use it to turn this cuff part. So I will go ahead now and cut it out. After cutting it out, I will place it on my main fabric now for you to understand what I'm trying to say. So this is how I'll be placing it when I want to sew it. I will place this pattern on my fabric and I will cut exactly what I have on my pattern paper. I will also do the same thing on this one. I will measure 3 inches. I'll cut it out. You can label it, just write up and down so that you will not get confused when you are transferring it to your fabric. So I will just write down and up. I will also do the same thing on the other side of the front. So when you are cutting the facing for the wrap one, you place it this way. I want to cut it on the right side so that when I turn it, the wrong side will match the wrong side of the fabric so that nobody will know that I use something to turn it. So you cut it the way I cut mine. When I sew it, you understand more. So I will notch the upper side and the side that I'll be joining it so I won't get confused. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to sew it. So for this first part of the front, I will place the facing side facing the right side of the fabric. I want to use it to show you something when I'm sewing the wrap. So just place it this way, right side to right side. I'll sew with half inch. I'll sew it and come back and show you. When you're sewing, make sure you pin it down, pin it round before you start sewing. I'm done sewing it. I will remove my pins. After removing my pins, I will notch it round. Please notch it so that it will relax when you turn it. I'm also gonna head to fold this. I fold it this way, only one fold, so that it won't be too bulky. If it's bulky, it will be showing on the right side of the fabric. So I'll iron it very well. You can top stitch on it. You just flip the seam this way and top stitch on the facing. Top stitch it round so that it will lay flat. So after that, you iron it properly. I will be inserting my hemming gum under the facing so that it can stick together with the main fabric. Before you top stitch, make sure you trim off the excess allowance. Trim it up before top stitching so that everything will come out neat. So after inserting your hemming gum inside, you give it a good ironing. This is what I have when I was done ironing it. Can you see? So before you sew the facing for the wrap, you first of all cut out a strap of fabric that you'll be using for the belt. So I have this fabric that I cut out. The length is 24 inches. You can make it longer if you want. So for the width, I have 2 inches. I cut out 2 for my belt. I'll go and sew it this way. After sewing it, this is what I have. So I will turn it to the right side now. Just use my scissors to push it inside out. Iron it flat. So I will be attaching it on the wrap. I want to explain something here. When you want to place your facing for the wrap, you place it this way. The wrong side will match the right side of the fabric, so that if you finish sewing it and turn it to the right side, it will match with the wrong side. We explain more when I finish sewing the facing. Before you insert the belt, you come down by ½ inch from the waistline so that it can enable you to fold the wrap. So you insert your belt this way, place your facing on it, use your pin to hold it. After that, I'll sew with 1/2 inch. Please, before you sew the facing, you can fold the waistline. You can fold it with 1/2 inch, just a tiny fold, or you use your bias tape to fold it. So I will go and do it off camera and come back and show you what I have. I'm done sewing it. I will trim off the excess sewing allowance. So after that, this is what I can. You see the facing is matching with the wrong side. You won't know that there is facing there. Can you see this one? I just want to use it to show you the difference, so you follow my step. All right, so I will go ahead now and fold the waistline. I did not fold it then, so you use your bias to sew it. Just sew on the line. After sewing it, you turn it this way and top stitch on it. After that, you top stitch on the facing. Please don't forget to top stitch on the facing. Just make sure that the same allowance is on the facing side, and you open it up this way and top stitch on it. So I will go and do it now, show you the outcome. So I've top stitch on it. Can you see it's laying flat? I folded this part also. Just do it neatly. After that, you iron very well. Make sure you trim the excess allowance. I will also use my hemming gum to iron on it so that it can stick together. I'll do that off camera and I'll come back and show you the next thing to do. This is what I have when I was done ironing it. Use your steam iron to iron it properly. So can you see my belt? So the next thing I'll be doing now is to join it together. I will just place the wrap on it for you to understand what I'm doing. This is my back part. I've open press the center back and iron it properly. So to join it, I will place the back part first. After placing the back part, I will place the wrap on this side. Just arrange the wrap. And I will place the main front on the wrap. Can you see how I place it? You can rewatch it to understand. So you don't forget our belt. So I will be inserting my belt on this side. I will take one part of the belt. I will put it inside this way. I will close it and I will go to my sewing machine and sew the two sides with 1 inch. First of all, use your pin to hold it down. Hold it down before you start sewing. I pin it down before sewing. I'll be using 1 inch to close the two sides because I want my gown to be well fitted. You know, this fabric is stretchy, so I sew the two sides with 1 inch. I'll confirm my measurements. It's very accurate. So the next thing now is to turn it to the right side for you to see what I have. Can you see? It's looking very neat already. You can fold the hem of your skirt. This is giving what you're supposed to give. So before I attach the waistband, I will turn it to the wrong side and open press the seam and iron it very well. Just open up the seam and iron properly. Iron it before attaching your waistband. So I will fold the hem of my skirt. After that, I will measure around the waist so that I can cut out my band. So the length of the band is my waist circumference. I added 2 inches because the part I use for the band is not stretchy. So you add 2 inches, but if it's stretchy, don't add any inches. So the width is 4.5 inches. To sew the band, I will place it this way. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. Can you see how I place it? I will join it. After joining it, you have something like this. I will fold it into two. You can use your iron to fold it. After folding it, I will stitch it down. I'll stitch it down. So this is what I have when I was done stitching it down. You can go ahead and weave it if you want, but I won't be weaving it now. I'll attach it first before weaving it. So I will place the part that I joined on the band to match the center back where I joined. Place it together and you pin it round. Make sure you pin it round before sewing. So I'll go ahead now and pin it. After pinning it, I will sew it with 1/2 inch. I'll go and sew it and come back and show you the finished look. So I've gone ahead to sew it. Follow the line you stitch on the band when you are closing the band to stitch, so that it will look very neat. So can you see no stitches is showing on the right side? So I will go ahead now and weave it round. I'll go and interlock it. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel if you find my tutorial helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.